Nerd Talks.
Welcome back to Nerd Talks. Today we are talking TCGs. I'm here with Mason, casual and competitive TCG player.
Yep.
So before we start, if there were only one game that you could collect or play, what would that trading card game be?
Magic.
Yep. I figured
it's barely squeaking it out.
I thought it might be.
Yeah.
I might have to agree with you. I really like playing Pokemon.
See, it's so hard, but like Pokemon's got the video game, so at least I have a backup there.
That's fair. Maybe
you don't really have a Magic video game. You got Magic, but you got the card game. That's about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, trading card games. They've survived for decades. They've provided countless people with hobbies varying of the sort. So today we're going to talk about TCGs, why they thrive, what games are out there, and what's going on currently in the market and or space. So I have a hot take.
Lay it on me. Normally we wait till the end. I'm glad we said at the beginning.
Yeah. I've switched up the show format a little bit, so we're doing the hot takes here in the beginning. I think that Magic is too complicated. I think it has too many rules. And if you've seen the new set that's going to be releasing, there's even more like unnecessary things happening.
Well, it's just the natural progression of the game, though. At this point, like there's always more stuff you got to learn. It's been going that way for years.
But I just feel the game is way too complicated. And mainly the stack.
I think once you understand it, though, which doesn't take that long, it takes like maybe 15 minutes to really understand how the stack works, and then
I don't think enough people dedicate enough time to actually understand the stack, though.
Well, I don't think enough people are playing at a level that understanding the stack matters either.
Right.
I think like if you need to understand how the stack works, then you actually have to take the time to learn the stack because you're going somewhere where the stack matters. If you're just playing your kitchen table and you screw up the stack, who's going to call you out? Judge Steve? He ain't playing with you. He's at the beer table drinking beer and having pretzels.
That's fair. I just think that the game has a really steep learning curve. Like it takes a lot to get to at least general knowledge of the regular gameplay, stack included, versus something that's a little bit,
okay,
a little bit lower and easier to get into than almost every other game.
I was gonna say Pokemon. Once you understand like the 5 basic concepts of the game, you're in. Magic may have more than 5 basic concepts, but I think at its core, Magic is just as simple as Pokemon. I know you think that's a hot take.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you got to know? You got to know how big is a creature, and that covers its attack and its defense. So how big is a creature?
Sure.
How can you beat your opponent? How can you cast your spells? When can you cast your spells?
Yeah.
Steps of a turn. It's 5 things. Not everybody wants to play a blue card. Most of the time, you don't got to worry that much about the stack. So
that's fair. I don't know. I just think there's a lot compared to other games, and we'll talk about some of the other games here. But let's just dive in. I think we've talked about a little bit of some of these things in a previous episode, but let's just talk on about some first memories here. So, first TCG that you played?
That was Pokemon.
Same.
Yep. It's a good stepping stone.
Do you know your first set?
Yeah. Heart Gold, Soul Silver, base set.
Okay. For me, it is just base set.
You think it's fossil with how old you are?
Wow.
Yeah, I got him.
Wow. I was there for the jungle, the fossil, the base set. I remember those really just basic pack arts. I guess they're not basic. I mean, they've pretty much stayed the same. It's just the art style, I think, on the pack has changed.
Well, I mean, Magic, when they first started doing packs, they weren't fancy either.
No, they just had the back of the card on the front of the back.
It's not until you get a modern day TCG where the pack arts start becoming fancy for the first set. And even then, they're not really that fancy.
Yeah. a childhood deck that you remember playing?
For Pokemon or just in general?
Just in general, I guess.
So when I first started playing Magic at a I want to win at the local card shop level instead of just playing at kitchen table, I was grinding so many games of mono green Stompy, just some creatures, and I was hitting them hard.
That's so
fair. Yeah. Played a 1 of World Spineworm.
Do you know around what set this would have been, or what standard?
Yeah, it was Theros standard.
Okay.
But this was, most people weren't playing paper standard at this time. Most LGSs had modern as their Friday Night Magic, because this was way before Commander.
Yeah.
It's none of that. So I was playing. Theros was the new big thing, and then we get Born of the Gods. That's what really allows me to actually play my deck, because there was a 1-mana spell called Aspect of Hydra, and that's what makes the deck good.
Okay.
Just gives a creature +X/+X, where X is your devotion to green.
For me, I will never forget my. Oh boy, maybe I am going to forget. I'm blanking on the name. Blaziken.
I was going to say it's the chicken.
Yeah. The chicken and the cat.
If I had to pick a Pokemon deck, I'd pick Volcanion. Volcanion, Flareon, Camerupt, the Pile.
Okay.
There was a time in 2016 for Pokemon when Volcanion EX was good. And I experimented, as a lot of other people did, with this Flareon that moved fire energies to it once during your turn. You could just shift a bunch of energies on it, right?
Sure.
And there was a Camerupt. It was Team Magma's Camerupt. It would pick up fire energies for your discard pile. And so you do that, you move them onto the Flareon, and the Flareon did more damage for each fire energy on it. And then to get the energies in the discard pile, you discarded Volcanion, because it made your fire Pokemon do 30 more damage when you discard a fire energy. You can do it once per turn.
Okay.
So a nice little fun setup combo.
Nice.
That's what I remember.
Fire's good.
Well, Volcanion was a fire and water, so you used it in mirror. Yeah. Okay. It was a dual type Pokemon.
Nice. Hell yeah. So let's dive into, just some TCGs in general.
I know the greatest place to start with this.
Sure.
When you talk to people who've worked in an LGS or anything, for the longest time there was the big three. The big three consisted of Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic. Mm-hmm. Magic was by far the number 1.
Sure.
Pokemon at 2, and Yu-Gi-Oh at 3.
Yeah.
And now when we talk about the big 3, we talk about the big 2, because Yu-Gi-Oh's dead.
Yeah.
I'm saying it right now. I don't care how many you got in your closet. Yu-Gi-Oh's dead.
I do think Yu-Gi-Oh has kind of been put to rest, or it's at this point it's just put to the side. Mm-hmm. I do think Lorcana is pretty big.
For sure.
I don't know if it's yet able to take that slot of being in the big 3.
I would say it's the only game that has the potential.
I think it does have potential to possibly get there, and we'll see as the years go on here. We're in year 3 right now.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, because we just had rotation.
Actually, I think it might be they're starting year 4.
They're starting year 4?
Okay. Year 4.
So, starting year 4, yeah. And they've already got really big tournaments. There is one rival. We're not in the circle, so I don't think we can say as much about it. But
this is true.
One Piece,
yep.
Is another really big game that's out there. Mm-hmm. I don't know much about it, but I do know that I see a decent amount of tournaments and people talk about it.
For sure.
Fairly regularly.
Well, I think, too, there's plenty of card games that have big tournaments. Like, when Star Wars was first popping off for, those first 2 or 3 sets that they had, they were going big and hard. They had a whole planetary system, which was, a regional level equivalent to, an international. It was, kind of in between there. And they had a World Championships, and then it was kind of dead after that. But, even, there was a startup for Alestrals. They had something going on. They eventually got to the regional levels, and they were starting to do stuff like that. And I don't know what's going on with them either. Lorcana's the only one that I've seen with major broadcasting for you can watch their World Championships. It's at a notable place. I don't know what's happening with the One PC. I don't know. I would assume they have World Championships, but I don't know where it is. I don't ever hear about it. If someone won it, I couldn't tell you who.
I do know that they have regional level tournaments. And as far as I know, they had a Worlds tournament. But that's only from secondhand knowledge of listening to a Pokemon podcast where the guy also played One Piece and mentioned it from time to time.
For sure. I would also like to say that I don't think that you can definitively put a game anymore at 1 where before it would be Magic, then Pokemon, then Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't think you can do that anymore. I think it is just, there are these 2, they are the biggest, there's nothing close, and you can't really go this one's number 1 and this one's number 2. because they're just both so popular at this point, and they drive so much in sales for those two companies. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. One of those is keeping their whole company alive.
Gosh, if Hasbro ever loses Magic, they might lose the company. It's so, oh my goodness.
Yeah. So speaking of like losing Magic, what do you think it really takes for these companies or these card games? I guess we don't need to talk about the companies necessarily, but these card games to survive, I played a lot of card games. And when I say a lot of card games, I have played the WWE card game. I played the Harry Potter card game. I did Alestrals. I just checked out Alestrals. I did Digimon 2 different times. I used to play the old Dragon Ball Z card game, that in 2 different instances. There was at one point where in my house I had a baseball card game where you had a mat and it was 1v1, and then one player would be on offense or whatever. I don't know sports ball terms. And you would actually move your people around the mat on the bases and stuff like that. Depending on the roll of a die or whatever. I don't know.
For sure.
So there's all these card games, but like we said, there's only 2 that have really stuck around since the 90s. Magic the Gathering was 93, and then
93,
and then Pokemon was 96 in Japan, 98 in America.
I think what makes them stick around is, are they getting kids into it? Which Magic used to do really well, and now I think it's harder to, even if they were to revive the Junior Super Series, it wouldn't do this with it.
No, that's the learning curve.
Yeah. No, I don't even think lowering the learning curve. I think the thing that's keeping kids getting into Magic is now the IP crossovers, the Spider-Man sets, the Marvel superhero sets, because everything's so digital that a kid's gonna see the Black Panther movie and they're gonna see WandaVision, they're gonna see I don't know, another TV show, Star Trek, I don't care, Star Wars, something, right? And then they're gonna see cards for that, and they're gonna learn about this game, and then they're gonna also play the game.
Yeah.
And then they're down the Magic path. Whereas Pokemon is just Pokemon is the global juggernaut when it comes to pretty much media in general.
It's the number 1 media franchise.
Right. And it's not close. It probably never will be close. It's dominating everything. When it comes to people go to a card show, they expect Pokemon. When people go to an LGS, they expect the LGS to have Pokemon. Yeah. They go to watch a TV show, they expect there to be a Pokemon TV show, a Pokemon movie. If there's something you think about, Pokemon has probably done something with it already. And I think that's because Pokemon has gotten to that global scale, and because their targeted audience had always been kids. Kids grew up with it and they kept it with them. New kids are constantly seeing it. They just are constantly, and it's because it's always geared at kids. And I think that's why those 2 have stuck around. Whereas Yu-Gi-Oh! Started as a TV show, so the rules to Yu-Gi-Oh! Were never really a thing until they decided, we can make card games and it'll be fun. And no one ever expected it to take off, but then it did. And then they didn't know what to do with it. And then halfway through its lifespan, they changed the entire head design, the people who are designing the game, and it goes from we're going up in power like this to go, and just shoots up. And you go, oh my goodness. And no one understands how to play it. Kids can't read a paragraph of text. And I think that's why Yu-Gi-Oh! Is officially at its point of just these people just, you cannot get new kids into Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of that. And I think that's another reason why One Piece is probably doing so well in Lorcana, is because kids watch Disney movies. Yeah. Lorcana is just a bunch of Disney movies on cards, and it's relatively simple to understand. So a kid can play it at 5 or 6 and learn it. And I don't know how to play the One Piece card game, so I can't speak to that being easy to learn and pick up. But kids watch One Piece. Sure. It's one of the biggest animes out there, right?
Yeah.
So
plus all the weebs.
Well, I mean,
they had to switch from Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
What's the next anime that's got a game that's not Pokemon?
That's fair. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. But kids also watching it talk about One Piece all the time, so I think that also helps why that card game would also do well. But it's also those are the 2 most recent ones in Disney and One Piece. So they get a recency bias, popularity pulse that just hasn't gone away yet. And I think it's because they have their own standalone thing that also has a card game for them to play off of. Whereas these other 2 were built off young people getting into it and going on.
So I want to devil's advocate kind of your
for sure.
your whole thing that you just said, which is fine. I think everything you said is pretty accurate as far as we know. But then I would come and say Star Wars Unlimited, also a huge IP outside of the card game, and the card game has basically fallen off as far as I know.
Yep.
And then Magic, which is hugely successful, but not targeted towards kids. It doesn't have all these other media pieces. So why do you think? You don't have to talk about Star Wars because I think Star Wars is one of those things, just like Harry Potter, where it's just like a card game, and maybe it's just not hitting the cross section of Harry Potter and or Star Wars fans isn't a cross section where it hits with people who are playing card games, so they just kind of miss each other really. For sure. I think that's maybe where that is. Whereas Star Wars, it's a big sci-fi thing where I think those people are probably more like video gamers,
sure,
versus card gamers. But
I mean, that could be true,
yeah. And but then how is? I guess my thing is like Magic is like how is Magic so huge?
Here's what I would think is like going back to like that 93 to we'll even say up to like because I don't remember when they discontinued the Junior Super Series, but like that was strictly kids playing competitively was the Junior Super Series. And at that point, they were still gearing it towards kids. And like, obviously now they don't just like their audience is their audience, right? And there's people getting into Magic all the time. And I think Magic has become that pillar from its early foundation. Moving forward, it already has popularity. It has all these new IPs. So like, let's say when I have a kid and they grow up to be like 6, right? And they go, oh my God, I love Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then they see like I have a Spider-Man card because I'm still playing Magic, right? And they go, oh, what's this? And I can get them into the game from there.
Sure.
So I think it's easier that like Magic not having a like dedicated IP situation where it doesn't have like a TV show or anything like that. It grew on popularity from like just being this like popular card game when it took off to now it has things that can bring people in already, and it's also got the eye on it, so it doesn't need to like try and establish more to get people in. It already has the ball rolling.
Sure.
Whereas like Star Wars, they've tried their hand at a card game more than once.
Yeah.
So they've tried to get the ball rolling more than once and it's failed more than once. This most recent attempt, I think the game, like as someone who's played card games for a while, I don't think the game was that complex. But then again, I can also understand a card game relatively simpler than someone who has never played a card game before.
Sure, absolutely.
So if you're playing Magic at I've never played a card game level before, and that Star Wars game, and I've never played a card game before, I think that Star Wars game is more complex than Magic, and that's why they failed to get the ball rolling. Is to like, you couldn't easily explain this to someone and have them understand it and have fun with it, even at a base level. Like, I could give someone a mono green deck, be like, you cast creatures, you attack, kill your opponent. That's how the game works, right? They're going to understand it. They can learn more as much as they want, or they can keep playing mono green, and I can judge my power level from there. Star Wars game, we're taking an hour to 2 hours just to learn you the game.
Yeah,
it's rough. So I think sometimes these card games, they started a little too complex also, whereas like at its base level, Magic's pretty simple. At its base level, Pokemon is very simple. Yeah. So I think those are like some of the biggest factors as to why those games aren't taking off. And then the thing that I think is also putting like where people are trying to put nails in the coffin for some of these games is like you have people who are established in card games already. Like we'll use, I don't know, Luis Scott Vargas, famous Magic player, right?
Sure.
He's not jumping over to the other TCGs of the world, right? But we have Frank Carson, also a notable Magic player, jumped over to Lorcana, really, really good and doing well in Lorcana, right? And people wanted to put the nail in Lorcana a while ago of like, this game's dead. So like you have to be able to support the people who don't want to go to a tournament. And I think Lorcana didn't do that off the rip. And now they are, where like if you go to your local game store and you play in a store championship, which is supposed to be like competitive, but for the store level, not for like I'm winning thousands of dollars.
Sure.
They were doing it the I'm winning thousands of dollars way at the store level by giving away these fancy cards that were pretty exclusive at the time, and they've rectified that, and I think that's what's helping the game's success and come back.
Sure.
Whereas like Star Wars doesn't have that. It didn't have that.
Yeah, it never did.
And so I think that's another thing too, is like there were just the people were jumping into Star Wars and they were just going straight to that competitive level right away of like these big events, just trying to spike it and earn money and not treating it as like I'm here for fun sort of situation where like you go to a Pokemon tournament. There are people doing that too, and there's notable name people like Ian Robb and whatnot who are winning and they're doing well, but they're not there to solely do that. They also like playing the game, and there are people who are still showing up to these events because they like playing the game, because the culture's fun.
Yeah,
So I think too, like sometimes they jump ship to these other games to make money, and they're okay if the game dies because they're not true fans of the thing.
Okay.
So I think it's another problem that like Star Wars had, that Lorcana almost had, that got fixed, sort of situation too. So,
yeah, we've talked a lot about the games and like them existing and being around. What do you think? Kind of about just there's the playing, the collecting, and the trading.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start with trading because I think trading is almost nearly dead, and maybe not so much for kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see. I feel like when I was younger, I saw people that were probably close to my current age or maybe in between our ages where they would go and they would still trade with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I see that almost non-existent. I think I've seen one kid come into our store and be like asking people for trades, and that's pretty much about it.
Yeah. I think because the way the market's gone on it,
Mm-hmm.
I think is the problem. If you look at like the 90s and the early 2000s, people don't necessarily know all the insider secrets and like this is how people run a game store sort of situation. So like when you open your cool card, also things weren't as popular back then. So like there was a little bit more scarcity to these things.
Sure.
So if you opened you opened a Charizard EX and the guy who wants to collect the Charizard EXs, he's like, I want that. You don't really have like the ability to just carry $10,000 on you for pre-release, but now everyone's got a credit card.
Yeah.
Everyone's got the ability to like send each other money with Venmo and whatnot. So like buying a card is much easier than trading a card because you don't have to carry as much on you. Whereas like back then you might carry a binder on you and you might also carry like $200 in your wallet. So like if you were like, oh, that guy just opened a foil Jace, I'll trade you stuff out of my binder because you're not carrying $800 on you when you open a foil Jace.
I think that and no fault to them, but like TCG Player and Associated, similar things have basically killed trading.
Yeah.
Because of the access of being able to just reach out and click and,
for sure,
and get a card. And again, no shame to them. I just had a payout today, so I'm not going to shit on them.
Right. Yeah.
But
I do think that it is more popular with kids because kids don't fully grasp that aspect yet. So they're just like trading cards just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Or so it's like, oh my god, I like Rayquaza. That card's got a Rayquaza on it. You like Charizard? This one has a Charizard on it. And they're swapping because they don't actually care about the values. They care about what's on the card.
Sure. And then going from trading into collecting. Now there's two aspects I would say to the collecting. I think there's the casual collector where it is just that kid, or even myself and my kids we have collections where it's just like the Pokemon we like on the cards, or maybe there's a specific, sleeping Pokemon or whatever, as far as that, and then there's these like collecting for value, and there's people and I think some of this, we could keep going down this way. I don't think that this episode needs to entail that, but going down, just mentioning the collecting for value is really, I think, harming a lot of these games and how the accessibility to mainly like children or like, I go to Walmart and I just want to buy a pack and open it with my kids and let them pick out whatever they want out of the pack and I'll see if there's anything good that I can play with, but I can't do that because
there are people collecting for value. And I think there's actually three paths because I think there are people who are collecting for value, but they're the intermediary.
Yeah, I think there is honest people who are like the value of the card, because I do it with comics too, where it's like the value is part of the reason to collect it, but also I like it and I'm not just using it to hawk,
right?
Where there are people who are doing that,
right? So I think we have people who collect it because they like it. They're the people that collect it because it may be like a good investment, but they're not like hogging everything. They're out there. I'm spending every paycheck and then selling.
And I think a lot of competitive players, especially in Pokemon, do the second one.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they even they do part of the first one.
Well, yeah,
that's why I would put this second tier of they do some of the first one, but they also do the second where it's like, I want a booster box at a tournament. I'm not going to open it. And I'll just I'll just hold on here because it's. But then there's that third group, and that's the one you're talking about. And those people are the ones where we're like, you're kind of ruining it for the rest of us.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. And there's a lot of these card shows, and maybe we'll talk about card shows here in a minute. But then I want to talk about playing the game. Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest part. I would say that Pokemon has a lot of collectors and people who just like to look at the cards. I think Lorcana has some of that as well, where they collect some of the fancy arts. I think Magic probably has like maybe the least, as far as talking about these three games. I don't really know that much about One Piece, and I don't know anyone who's actually collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards and not just playing the game.
They exist. That's actually what keeps the game afloat. If you didn't know,
is the collectors?
It's crazy. If you have ever followed the Yu-Gi-Oh space, it's the game would have died because of how badly things took a turn. Like cards couldn't hold value post like 2012, 2014, somewhere in that era of like the way the game changed. And so it was being held afloat by people collecting cards. Like when they reprint Dark Magician, it's another Dark Magician that the Dark Magician collectors have to get. So they open all the stuff to get a Dark Magician. Okay. Right? No one cares about the playables except for the players, which is a very small player base now.
Sure.
So it was all the people collecting like, oh my God, another this.
Yeah.
Oh, this has a high rarity and it's a Yu-Gi-Oh card. I collect the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I want the highest rarity sort of situation.
Interesting.
That's how that game is still staying afloat.
But I was going to say Magic. I feel like I don't see a lot of people just collecting.
I think
cards.
There wasn't before, and I don't know too much about the stuff pre like 2010. We'll say of like the collecting aspect of, but like from 2010 to like I want to say up to like when was their first crossover? Ikoria in like 2020, 2021, somewhere in there. I wouldn't say there was a big collector market, but then they started doing like the drop in like small IPs,
special arts and the IP cards,
and that's when there started to be like people who were just like collecting it for the artworks. Where it was like, oh, okay, I'll do this. And now you get people who are collecting like full sets where it's like, oh, I want to collect the full Marvel set because it's Marvel situation.
Sure. I also think for Magic and Pokemon, I don't know about the other card games, but they also have like artist collectors. Mm-hmm. I've seen people who, in particular in Magic, I don't know that many Magic artists, but Seth MacKinnon, I've seen a Seth MacKinnon collection.
Yeah, there's a few like I think his first name's Mark, but any of the pool artworks is him.
Oh, okay, Mark Poole.
But yeah, Seth MacKinnon's another big one.
Yep.
I can't remember the other guy's name right now. There's another one that's super big too.
Okay. But yeah, playing the game.
Therese Nielsen's another one that people collect.
Not familiar. Yeah, but playing the game, I would say playing most of these games, you can go to your LGS and probably play Pokemon or Magic at your LGS. Some of the other games is going to be a little bit of hit or miss
for sure
in general. And I think that's just the nature of those two card games being that big. Usually in most places you can find Friday Night Magic and then Saturday morning to early afternoon Pokemon. And I feel like that's just the general
for sure
for LGSs. And I would say most of the time, I don't think I've ever had a real bad experience. As far as the communities for either of these games go, I would say they're generally pretty good. You do see videos from time to time of people like talking about people being toxic. And I find this more with Yu-Gi-Oh! More than any other game, but mostly because they win like turn one or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
They're going first turn one, or whatever the hell is going on. But I just think playing the game, and I think having a structure to playing the game helps. And I mean that by stores setting up time for an event that happens, or a time for people to gather, other than just tournaments, which do happen at store level sometimes from time to time, determining the kind of game it is. Obviously you can go further than that and get into the real competitive stuff. You start to get into qualifiers for Magic or regionals for Pokemon, and then kind of can go up and up from there. And I would say, I don't know what it is like for Magic because I never played super, super competitive. But I know for Pokemon, even at like the regional level, it's just more of like kind of like a fun thing. And we're all just like kind of having fun. And, obviously we've tried to go competitive, like more competitive than just like having fun. But there is so many people that are just like there just because it's like a mini Pokemon con and they can come and play for the day. And then the next day they just come and hang out and
some of them you keep playing. There's side events they'll play.
They
just keep doing stuff. Or like they'll find an open table and find someone who else wants to play, and they'll play them.
Yeah. So, and I guess they kind of have that for Magic too. Well, they have literal Magic Con.
Yep.
Where you can just kind of go and.
Yeah, I haven't been to any of the Magic Cons.
Yeah. It would be kind of cool.
But I've heard that there are people just like there's side events people are playing in. There's people playing all the time. So I think, and there's people like they have the cosplay contests. I know they do that. They have the live shows at.
I know. I'm almost for like.
I think when they did the Switch initially, people were upset, right? But then they figured it out when they switched it to like a Magic Con because like I think Pokemon's getting at stage 2 of how they're changing worlds to an XP where it's like you need to have this as like almost a convention now and have the event at the convention.
I kind of wish Pokemon would adjust to that.
Yeah,
where it was like more of just like hanging out because at Magic Con it is a convention. Yeah, I don't know about
the Pro Tour gets its own hall. It's still there, which is what initially these events would have been. Would have been like this is the Pro Tour, it's happening here, and this con wouldn't have existed. But now they've added in this convention part. Not only is Wizards profiting more and all the vendors are profiting more, but like people are just having more fun, you know? It's not just these people going to watch people. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it does get boring. If you're walking around trying to watch people play cards, they have one display feature. And like Magic used to be good about this, where they would have 4 feature matches going on. Pokemon's not good at it. They've started to get better. Where they have one match going, that's it. You want to watch, you gotta like lean over a table and go, oh, what you got over there? Without disturbing the game, because then the judge walks up and was like, hey, stop that. So, yeah.
But yeah, so I think both of those games have great play structure. We don't need to get in the nitty-gritty about the actual rules of the game or anything like that, but I think in general, the player communities are pretty good in those particular games. Now, as far as some of these other games, they're hit or miss, and there's so many games and less lately than there used to be. Because when I was growing up, like I said, I played all those games, and only like a quarter of those games could I have gone to the store, like my local game store, and actually sat down and found someone else to play. And off the top of my head, thinking of all the other games that I played, at one point there was people playing Dragon Ball Z, and then another point there was people playing WWE, or WWF. I think it was, or I think we were actually transitioning while the game was actually happening. But like the other games, I will forever remember the Harry Potter game because I loved that game. I thought it was so fun. It had similar to the WWE game where when you took the damage, you milled basically.
And it was your deck.
So I remember that, but and the Digimon game I played, and again, there were so many other games that I played, but there was very little games where you could.
There's a few more that you could have. I remember hearing stories about people playing Chaotic.
Oh yeah. Oh no! I didn't play that. I know what it is. Chaotic game. Yeah.
There was.
I was
Force of Will was popular for a while. You could have played that at a local game store.
That sounds familiar. I was thinking when you say Chaotic, I was thinking Duel Masters or whatever the.
Oh yeah, I know Duel Masters. It was kind of. I've never played it, but I've heard people talk about it. Sure. The next one I was going to say was Weiss Schwartz was another one that you could find people playing. Yeah, that one's not every game store, but like if your game store had it, you could find people playing it.
It's still around? Question mark?
It is still around, but it's now less at game stores.
Okay.
I think it's just by the nature of like Pokemon's domination of taking things over. Like if you want to have Pokemon, you can't really have the scantily clad women card games anymore, and that's
fair.
It's one of like. Do they do a lot of crossovers? Yeah, but they also do the crossovers with the scantily clad women.
Yeah. And I think Magic has also kind of taken the place of like we're the game now that does crossing over between.
Yeah, you no longer need like Avatar: The Last Airbender now has a Magic set, which like before it was just like Weiss Schwartz, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So there's that. There was one more that I'm trying to think of that I don't think I'm going to be able to remember it, but there was one more that I want to mention, but I can't get there. So.
Sure. I think the last thing, I guess, before we move on, kind of the next little topic here, is where we play these games. And I think the local game store is kind of the cornerstone of. It's either the local game store or the comic book shop are like the two cornerstones of the nerd community.
Yeah.
Obviously, at most comic book shops that I've been to, there isn't really a place where you can sit and hang out. There is time, like you can obviously chit chat with people and stuff. They're not going to kick you out because you're talking about comics or whatever. But generally, they don't have a sitting area or a lounge area, which maybe they should. Little coffee with your comics or
for sure. Let me tell you, I think more game stores should do the whole like, maybe not bar, because I know there are a lot of them that do the bar aspect, but like the coffee shop and like either if you're gonna do it with cards, I think you gotta have the cup holders here, not on the table.
Sure.
Don't want people spilling their drinks, but like coffee and the comics one specifically, I think would go over a lot better.
Yeah.
But I know we have one locally to our state that they do pretty well at the coffee restaurant joint.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, in general, I think the local game store, it needs to be it needs to be put on a pedestal. I think there's not a lot of places in a community, period, in general, in our society, where groups of people can go and spend time together doing things that they like. Like what do you have, like a coffee shop where you could chit chat and read a book? Like that's kind of a solo activity, though.
I mean,
you can go to the library,
bookshops for the same thing, and the library. Yeah.
Again, most of the time you're doing a solo activity. There's like a bar, like a tavern pub, like where you can play billiard games, basically.
I mean, sometimes you find the card players there too. Like,
well, yeah, but
that's normally like you brought your friend group out because you guys just all want to have like a beer, and also now you're doing. But you can also do that at someone's house too. So like,
and I think the LGS is kind of that place. There's not a lot of places like that in our society where you can just go and hang out.
Well, I think there was one more, but it's kind of dead now.
What's that?
An arcade.
Oh yes.
I don't think arcades, they're not popular anymore.
Yeah.
And if you find one, it's like it's thriving on the we're a retro business sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's because they are a retro business.
Or it's a bar.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that one used to be part of the conversation. Now it's dead because of the way we've modernized video games.
Yeah. Unfortunately too, because I enjoy the vibe, but yeah, I think LGS is kind of the last one, and it's one of the only places where you can spend hours there.
Oh, for sure.
I was just there yesterday, and I was there all day playing games.
Yeah,
for literally like
6 hours.
6 hours.
Yeah,
damn near. And and it brings people together. You can meet people there. I've met everyone other than my brother that I regularly hang out now with at the game store.
Yeah.
So it's like it's where you meet people. It's kind of like I don't even know how to explain it. For our community here locally to us, it's like a bar, but we don't have alcohol there, which is fine.
Yeah.
Where we can still like hang out and socialize.
My biggest gripe with the local game store has nothing to do with how the business is run or who's there or what's going on in there. It's that it's not open enough. It's just never open enough. And you're never going to make it open enough because the way game stores are ran, you can't have it open 24/7, right? It's just so taxing on the people that are there because hardly ever do game stores get big enough where they can staff 12 people in a day.
Yeah.
And if they do, those 8 of those people are burnt out within those 8 hours because they're just like back in a room sorting.
Yeah.
We have like 4 floor people, right? Sometimes if your game store is big enough to staff those, you can't have the whole someone comes in and then 8 hours later another person clocks in, right? So you can't have it open for like the same you would have like a restaurant or a bar be open. But I wish you could. I think if someone had like a game store that was open from like, we'll say 9 a.m.
Sure.
Because a little early for some of the people that are playing games, right? But a respectable time to be up. Like if you got kids, sometimes you're up by then, right?
Yeah.
And then the people who they're vampires keep it open till like midnight, 1, maybe even 2, like a bar.
Yeah.
But then again, you have 7 hours where that thing's not open. That's a long time to staff people there.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Like I know for ours it wouldn't work because of the staffing we have there, but I wish we could.
Yeah.
I wish that could be the way game stores work.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say about it is that, local game stores are kind of, we just talked about how arcades are kind of going away. And now they kind of have to, put on the retro coat to even attract people to come there. And I think the game store is kind of the last bastion that we have of the nerd community to be out in public. Mm-hmm. And at this point, it's kind of like we have to be careful of what we do as consumers and customers of the LGS, because at this point it's like if you start buying all your stuff online or just scalping it out of Walmart or whatever, we're going to eventually lose that. The store is not going to be able to get as much allocations because they're not having enough purchases come through the store.
Yep.
And then they're going to lose out on their product that they have there. And that's going to lose out on people coming into the store to actually buy the stuff because they are losing out on the ability to get the stuff from the people that actually want to come in there and get it. And eventually those kind of places go out of business.
Well, then it also too, like, there's so many other determining factors that, like, if the LGS were to go away, like, just in the aspect that people don't think about is, like, you buy an order on TCG Player. Most of the time it goes fine. But the times it doesn't, those things go so wrong.
Yeah.
Not only for the seller, but for the buyer. And it's so easy for someone to get gypped on it. And it's just, it's a nightmare when things don't go right on ordering a single. Never do things go wrong when you buy a single.
Okay.
If you take it and you go, okay, and you don't just go and crumple it or something, right? Or sit on it.
Yeah, at the LGS.
Right.
Like, do you have that card? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have the card.
Yep. One and done, straightforward. And, like, are they going to have every card? No. And is that something that the online offers better? Yeah, they're going to have every card. But even then, sometimes it's not true because they have an out of stock function that happens online. It's crazy. But yeah, people constantly will be like, oh man, the LGSs, they're getting more expensive. Yeah, they can't go direct from producer to consumer. But in times previous, that was your only option, was to not go producer to consumer. So you only had to go to the LGS. Now they don't have that option. Now they're going, oh, well, I don't got to go to the LGS to get the thing. And it's like, yeah, but how are they going to make the money for them to open the door so you can go in and play there, right? And they'll be like, oh, but I don't want to pay the event fee to do the thing. I just want to play. And it's like, well, you're already not buying the product there. You just wanted to have a building space sort of situation. So, like, I've never really understood the whole gripe of, like, people like, oh man, I can do this, but I'll still go to the LGS. So, like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I have another thing. So first of all, go to your LGS.
Yes, please. Okay. Please go to the LGS.
Go to the LGS.
Yes.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Unless it's ran by Stinky Steve and he doesn't give you anything, where, like, Stinky Steve doesn't give you the promos, Stinky Steve doesn't sell you singles, Stinky Steve charges you double what everyone else in the town is charging, like the other LGSs in the town, don't go to Stinky Steve shop. But if you're going to Positive Peter's shop and he's got singles and he's got boxes, right? And sure, maybe is Positive Peter selling a box at $150, but you can get it for $120 online. Sure. But you have to pay shipping and handling.
Yeah.
You got to wait to get that box.
Yeah.
Positive Peter will put it in your hands. No issues whatsoever.
And you're helping them out.
And Positive Peter will give you the ability to play at the store.
Sorry, there's a cat in there.
So, Positive... Now there's a second one. Oh my goodness.
What are you guys doing? Cats, go! What is happening? This has never happened before. I'm keeping this in.
Yeah, so anyway, Positive Peter also has the table space. That person that sold you the box online, they got you the cards maybe a week after you ordered it, but he didn't give you a table and a place to play at.
See, and the table space is another thing. Is you coming to the store, and I see this with Warhammer, so I'm looking at you, Warhammer players specifically, but the other ones as well, where you're buying all this stuff to play the game. You've said and told us you are interested at the LGS, that you're interested in playing these games. This goes for card games, mostly Warhammer again, but also card games. The only one that gets the exception here is D&D. I understand. But who are you playing with? You have one friend what's going on here? I just don't understand the theory. It's like you and your one friend both play Warhammer. You just play each other all the time. You have multiple armies. You're playing the same person in card games. You have a whole pod that you can get together at your house. That's crazy, wild, man. I do.
You know where they probably met them though? At the LGS.
That's what I'm saying. I was just about to say I do have people that come to my house and we have a pod every once in a while. But those people are people I met at the LGS. We just happen to be playing at my house once.
And you guys also play at the LGS.
Yes, and we play at the LGS regularly. So I don't understand. Go to your LGS. That's what I got to say. But we're gonna hit our last topic here,
and I'm gonna hit it out of the park as I do every time.
And we're just gonna end on the future TCG. So where do you think we're going? I have a few things that we could talk about here, but first I just want to mention the digital games. Do you think there is ever a point where the digital game just beats out the physical game?
I want to say yes. I think saying yes is the correct answer.
Sure.
Because of the fact everything is going to be digital at some point.
Sure.
I think, and this has nothing to do with card games. This might just sound harebrained, but I think even people will be digital at some point.
Sure.
Crazy thing to say.
No, I just watched Ready Player One.
Yeah. I mean, like, no physical body. Fully up on a computer.
All right. Chill.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. But I think at some point, almost everything will be digital.
Sure.
But until the humans themselves are digital, there's one thing you can't beat that the LGS will be able to claim onto forever. And that's the person-to-person interaction we can have playing the card game face-to-face. Because I can play a game online. And I'm sure people that are way better at texting can do this better than I can, but I can't tell how the other person feels through a screen.
Sure.
Unless I know it's my buddy Andrew and we're on a voice call, right?
Right.
And Andrew goes, hey, good play, right? Sort of situation.
Yeah.
I don't know what Andrew's thinking. It's much more fun to play in person with
Yeah.
Andrew. I don't actually have a buddy named Andrew, but if there's an Andrew who wants to be buddies, find me at the LGS. But yeah, you also aren't like, you can't meet these people and know who they are too by playing the game online. So I think that's the one reason why it makes it harder to just blatantly say yes. Because playing the game in paper and online from a just playing aspect is the same when you play it online and you play it in paper, right? Sometimes it's easier to get cards online than it is in paper.
Usually.
But the person-to-person interaction is the biggest thing you're missing.
Yeah.
And I think too, like, seeing a person's emotions, like, I've watched plenty of card games, right? You watch World Championship. When that person wins the World Championship, you can see how much it means to the person. And I think there's another thing too that matters so much. So, like, even if we were to make it digital, unless we can have these interactions exactly like that online, I think it will forever be a paper thing. But once that gets mastered, then it'll be digital.
Okay.
But I think, again, that takes like we aren't people in bodies anymore sort of situation.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, I play Spell Table. So Spell Table is a online browser application that you can use in order to set up a webcam in order to play Magic over the internet with randos. Now, there is from time to time, and people like it or don't like it for different reasons, where people will use Moxfield. There's a goldfishing, which is playing by yourself to kind of figure out your hand type of software built into Moxfield and Architect and all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
And people will overlay that on their screen as their camera to play you with their Moxfield deck versus you playing with paper. And there's a lot of times, and I think it's because people think that Moxfield is kind of cheating or it's easier to cheat using that. But I think it's also just like people wanting to see other people playing with the cards. We can't even see each other's faces.
Yeah.
Because the camera's pointed down at the table. But I think it's just the tactile of being able to see, because there will be times where you can find a lobby and they're like, bracket 3, this is for Magic, obviously, bracket 3, no Moxfield. And they'll specifically say that I don't want to play with people on Moxfield because they want to see, and talk to people that aren't just like digital overlay on a screen. And it kind of even looks goofy when you're actually trying to play against those people because they're just not playing the cards. They're just playing, it's like, why you might as well just be playing Arena
for
almost
sure
at that point.
Yeah.
Versus trying to play us with your digital deck. But yeah, I honestly think if a game is going to go digital, I think it would be Pokemon before Magic, though.
I could see it. Magic almost went digital once already. I don't know if you were there for the COVID era of it. When they were like first exiting COVID, Magic was digital. They weren't playing paper Magic.
Okay.
To an extent. It was really weird. I don't know what the behind the scenes layout was, but when people were playing matches on stage, like for standard Arena, it was on Arena. It was two dudes at a computer like this, like we would be, two computers in front of us with walls, so like I couldn't go around and be like, oh, what's in his hand, sort of situation. Sure. And they were playing Magic, but it was on Arena, so we would get like a very accurate view, and I think the viewing experience might have been a little better.
Sure.
But the overall, like, it was weird to just see two dudes at a screen, like, click, click,
sure.
click. So there was a time where Magic was partially digital, and they've reverted since. So I think that we've kind of proven that until like the playing of it is important that way until we get to a point where like everything is virtual.
Yeah.
Like
it'll take the game being these games being financially unstable enough to unable to create the physical cards where they would
for sure
wean themselves out. And we know that that's not true because for at least the two major games, they've only ramped everything up.
Yeah.
As far as like production and releases.
Globally, like maybe there's a concern of like resource consumption. Like we can only grow trees at such a rate without someone developing a way to grow trees faster, right?
Sure.
So like paper products, maybe, but God, I still don't know even then, like if it would ever become a digital thing.
Yeah,
because then when you go digital too, you kind of lose that collecting aspect that cards have, and it goes to solely just a playing aspect, which Magic might hinder more from than Pokemon, because I think a lot of people would play Pokemon too, but like Pokemon would still take it pretty hard when it comes to the card game.
Yeah, especially from a collecting aspect, unless they create an app that, or in either like a plug-in or a specific app that just allows you to collect, then it's just like...
I think they already have it too, and I think we see it in Pocket. It's Pokemon Pocket.
Yeah, sure.
And like people do it. People play Pocket. People like you can play the game, but people mostly use it as like I get to open 2 packs a day sort of thing, and it's fun. And they do it, but it's just not. It's not the same as having a real card in your hand. So
for sure. And then speaking on that, do you think there's too many releases? Do you think we're doing too much right now?
I think Magic has cut back and is understanding that they were putting out too many releases, and I think the frustrations of Universes Beyond is finally like they're finally doing something that they can cut back on it enough. Like I don't think because the way they plan things out, when they first started hearing this, they couldn't cut it back because the things already been planned out. They already planned out these things.
People are getting frustrated, but it's like this has already been in production. These deals have been made for years.
We can't go back on it. So these people who are like hearing about it now, like going like, oh, they're finally like they were probably thinking about doing something when you first started making a complaint. They just couldn't do it. They were like, we're already doing the deal. We can't like go back on it. They're just gonna be upset.
We made a deal with Marvel for 4 sets. Like, we
exactly.
can't go back. For sure. Pokemon, I think, is fine. I think the release schedule is
they're pretty set on their release schedule. They do like
I think they're fine enough.
Well, like 2 to 3 mini sets a year and 4 main sets, and even then, that seems like a lot for me to say out loud. Like that doesn't sound like it's correct. Like sometimes you get like back-to-back months.
I think what they could do is cut back on the amount of cards in a set.
Sure, for sure.
Because these sets are like 200 cards. Yeah. It's just like,
and that's just like traditional treatments. It's not even including like there's a whole other set of reverse halls being printed.
That's one
to 250, right? And they do this 4 times a year. That's 1,000 base rarity cards that are being printed, not including reverse halls, which takes out like 25 to 50 cards from the set. So we go from 250 to like we'll ballpark it at 215. Of another of that is being printed. So now we're at like, what would that be like? 465, right? And now we're getting special treatments for all these cards that didn't get the special like reverse holo treatment printing are getting a full art and another rarity. And then 1 or 2 of these cards also get another. On top of that, we're already at 465. Why not add in another 80 some cards that get added on for special treatment on top of that? I don't know if it's actually that high, but like we'll ballpark it like it's like 500 plus cards truly after all treatments are said and done, a set per thing that Pokemon's been doing in these recent sets. It's honestly, when people don't truly think about it, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so many cards for one set.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with like 80 cards a set.
Honestly.
Yeah. 80 cards a set. Because they can also design decks better.
Yeah. And I think it's a lot less just like
we can pump out fun things, but like
I think it's a lot less, trash. And maybe, and maybe 80 is a little bit too short because then you're going to start to get a lot of doubles when you open up a box. But like even like 120 to 150 cards is...
I don't think we ever need to exceed 200.
No.
I think 200 would be large and they can be done there. 200, that's good. Right there.
Yeah, I think that's...
No more.
I think that's a massive set. Yeah. They do it that way. And then I guess my last question here is... you could take your favorite game or a different game that you are aware of, but what would you change, design-wise as far as the TCG? It doesn't have to be maybe.
So I was going to say something about Pokemon, but it's not a design change.
No, I was going to say maybe it's not a game mechanic, but maybe it's just like the way the treatment of a card or something like that.
So, I mean, obviously the smaller sets in Pokemon, but I think Pokemon, the way that they design the game now is like if one thing becomes too good, they design a card to answer that instead of just getting rid of the card from the format. And I think that at certain points, it would just be better to get rid of the thing from the format instead of designing something to stop it, because then we end up with these cards that don't do anything unless they're in these exact situations.
Yeah.
Like we've seen it with, we just had that Patch Rat printed in Pokemon, we've had Battle Cage printed in Pokemon, and those just aren't enough to stop people from playing Monkey Dory. They play it all the time. And like Battle Cage is supposed to stop Dragapult and Monkey Dory, and it didn't stop either of those things. You know, we have Felice Clefairy was meant to be the thing that answers dragon types because they don't have a weakness. Dragapult one-shots it. Like, they're designing it wasn't good enough, and now we're sitting here going, what am I supposed to do, right? And it's like, they're printing all these tools to balance the game, but then they unbalance the way they were balancing other things by printing some of these other things. Like, Jamming Tower is unbalanced the way Felice Clefairy was supposed to answer Dragapult, and being that, like, you're supposed to put the Pearl on it. It's supposed to be a one-prizer, swinging into the Dragapult things, right? And then we got Jamming Tower and Tool Scraper, and Dragapult doesn't even play Tool Scraper. They play the Stadium because it not only answers Battle Cage, which is supposed to be an answer to them, but it also answers the Tool card on Felice Clefairy, so they take 3 prizes anyway. And so I wish they would just be like, you know what? We're actually just going to ban Dragapult EX. And that's like, I'm not saying that Dragapult needs to be banned. What I'm saying is that they just need to take an approach where it's like, sometimes when things just get too good, instead of printing cards to counteract them, we just need to take a step back and go, what is going wrong? Should we ban this card, or do we just need to design the card better to counter the thing?
Yeah.
I think the biggest gripe now would be in Pokemon would be that Dragapult EX, the thing that's supposed to beat it the most in Felice Clefairy, does not, because it's 190 HP instead of where it should be, which is like, well, probably 220 if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think so as well. 220 would have kept it out of the range of a lot of different kind of strategies there. You would have had to do more work to one-shot it, which would have been fair.
Mm-hmm. And it can still one-shot itself, so I think like that would have been the sweet spot right there, at like 210, 220, somewhere in there. Just not at 200 or lower where they put it.
Yeah. Unfortunate. So your change was to just get rid of the cards, just have more bans in Pokemon, maybe?
Yeah, have more bans, or instead of just like throwing something at the wall, like give Pokemon... Actually, I think this is the thing. Give Pokemon a play design team that like tests the cards before they go out. So that way Pokemon can go, you know what? We should change this just a little bit. Where they would have realized, like, Felice Clefairy at 190 is not correct. It should be higher than 200.
Yeah. So it can withstand attack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, I think we're going to wrap up there. We've had a pretty passionate discussion, I think, about trading card games. We're both been playing these games for a long time. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, especially like my parents, are the kind of people who'd be like, it's a bunch of cardboard or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, it's not just that, but it's people you meet. It's the times you have. It's a hobby. It's a collection. It means something to a lot of people. And some people base their whole, personalities around it.
My grandparents are like that. They're like, oh, what? You can't find a lady if you don't go out to the bars. And I was like,
you could.
Could. Actually, you remember those card things you guys are always like, oh, what, you playing cards again? Yeah, maybe I'll find a lady there, girl.
I think it's the people that go into their LGS that are keeping a lot of these games alive. People are showing up to these larger tournaments, and the way you get there is by going to your game store, finding out about these things, and then kind of getting taken up to the next level. And I think that's how these TCGs are going to stay alive. It's going to help keep the LGS alive, and these guys are just holding hands, trying to not get ripped away by Joe, the Walmart scalper, or whatever his name is. Any last thoughts from you?
Outside of food, no. I'm actually just thinking about like food right now.
Okay.
To be perfectly honest.
Fair enough. Don't forget to like, subscribe. In the comments, let us know what your first trading card game was. Are you a player, a collector? Both? Are you competitive? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for hanging out, and have a good game.